Hi, and happy Mother's Day to all you mamas out there. I'm Nicole Von Enck, and I'm a principal with Texas Ballet Theater, and I'm going to answer some of you guys' questions about being a mama in the ballet world. From TikTok, Ava asks, what was the company's reaction? So I am very fortunate that the company I dance for is incredibly supportive of pregnancies and families, and there are several other parents in the company with me. And at the time when I got pregnant, there were other moms or other people who were already pregnant at the time, and so it was just a great support system I already had. So going into letting them know, like, hey, I'm pregnant, and then how this affects the next several months, they were insanely supportive. I know that's not always how it's been in the ballet world, and I know that even now it's not always that way, but I was incredibly fortunate and had a great support system, both from my fellow dancers but also from my artistic staff. Next question is from YouTube. Hope Jensen 9297 asks, was it hard having the extra weight? How many months were you before you had to stop? The way it worked for me was that I stopped rehearsing and performing at about 13 weeks because we were going into a summer layoff. And then coming back, I did take class every single day. I did a walk-on role. I was Queen in Sleeping Beauty. And so I did go to those rehearsals, but it wasn't a dancing role. But I took class basically like up until a couple days before I gave birth. We've got on Instagram, IV2913 asks, how does the extra weight from carrying the baby affect your turns and technique? Does the extra weight make dancing on point more painful? On TikTok, Aurora Skirts Dancewear asked, how did it change your pirouettes? And then on TikTok, The Witch Maria asked, how does your balance change with the pregnancy before and after? So these are kind of all like technical questions, so I kind of put them together. The weight, actually, it was because the baby grows so slowly. It actually, while it did affect my balance and changed the way I was doing certain steps, it was so slow that it was a gradual change of weight. Like I continued to slowly get my weight further and further back as I did pirouettes or trying to balance on one leg. So in some ways, like my balance was totally different, but my pirouettes actually stayed pretty consistent simply because it was a slow change. It wasn't like all of a sudden that I had this ton of weight that I had to deal with. And the same thing with the point shoes. Like I really enjoyed wearing point shoes. I was wearing point shoes up until a couple days before I gave birth. It ended up giving my ankles a bit of a break because when you're working with the friction of the floor, it needs so much more stability. So I actually enjoyed dancing on point more. I felt like I was more confident, and it really was a lot of fun. On Instagram, Griffin Dork 1 asked, did you have to relearn or rather remember how you did certain moves after you gave birth? On Instagram, Bronwyn asked, how was it coming back after being pregnant and giving birth? I would love to hear how that process was. And then on YouTube, Naomi McKay asked, how long did you take off? How long did it take to get back to full dancing shape? Before having the baby, pirouettes were great. Things were going awesome. It was after I gave birth and was coming back that my weight all of a sudden was different. Like I had gotten used to doing everything back here and had to move myself forward. And so actually that was the hardest part. The thing that was the easiest during pregnancy for me, which was pirouettes, was almost the hardest thing to get back when I was postpartum. After I had my baby, I was back in class after 5 weeks. That is very quick. That is, I don't think, normal. But I had a really great postpartum experience, and I was healing really well. And so when I got back to class, it was really nice because, again, I got to do it very gradually. After 5 weeks, I was back taking class, and then a little less than 5 weeks after that, I was starting rehearsals again for this one piece we did. It was a bit more contemporary. It was actually a better transition coming from, not really dancing all day to doing rehearsals. And because we were doing a mixed rep, which means there's 3 different pieces in one show, and I was only in one of those pieces. My rehearsal days were shorter. The question asked, though, how long did it take to get full dancing shape? It took a while. I think that when I felt fully like I'm in great shape, it was probably around like, I'd say 15, 16 weeks where I felt close to myself, like my normal self. But then the pandemic hit. So we were literally a couple weeks out from performing, and COVID became a thing, and we all went home. And so I think for me, my process was a little bit like longer. I think that it probably only would have taken me another month or 2 to feel 100%, but because we were taking class at home and weren't doing our regular work schedule, I think that I didn't feel like I could really do my normal stuff until like probably like October or November, and I had my baby in the December of the year before. So but I think that was extenuating. On Instagram, KAJA asked, is dancing while being pregnant healthy for your child? On TikTok, Don't Follow Me 777 asked, how does your doctor feel about this, me dancing so much while pregnant? On Instagram, No HAKAFFE asked, were you afraid of falling and getting hurt? So I spent a lot of time asking my doctor questions and being very intentional about how to move forward in my pregnancy, because my job is so much more active than the average. But my doctor was crazy awesome, super supportive, and answered all my questions really well. But basically, when I got into my second trimester, she was saying that I shouldn't be doing big lifts or big partnering things. But otherwise, she was saying that as long as I felt that my body was strong, that it actually is really good to stay active, to really keep myself at a similar pace to what I was doing, because that's what makes my body feel good. Basically, my advice to anyone who's, very active and pregnant is to really be close with your doctor. Make sure you're asking those questions. On YouTube, Angel Bones 8007 asked, how were you able to manage pregnancy symptoms and ballet, especially as pregnancy can kill your feet? And then on TikTok, MKA256 asked, were your feet swollen? So the pregnancy symptoms were actually quite hard for me. I felt very sick. I felt, especially in that first trimester, I was quite nauseous. And we were working on the ballet Pinocchio at the time, which involved a lot of long days, full call rehearsals where I was standing a lot, and I was doing Blue Fairy at the time, and the role basically was in almost every scene, so I was in almost every rehearsal. So I think that first trimester was really rough, just because I was feeling not so great. But when I was doing rehearsals for Sleeping Beauty much later, when I was just a walk-on role as the queen, I felt way better, and it was no problem at all. And then when it comes to feet being swollen, I actually didn't really experience that very much. I know it's a common pregnancy symptom, but everybody's so different. And my feet pretty much stayed the same. Okay, last questions, and we're gonna wrap this up. Is on TikTok, Carson Page asked, how do you go back to dancing after having a baby? Like going and dancing for hours without seeing or taking care of them. And then on YouTube, user ZG8BK70G6Y asked, is it hard for you to be a full-time ballerina and have kids? And I think that the best way to answer this question is that, especially in the beginning, it's similar to any working mom. It's hard to leave your baby. It's hard not to spend time with your kids, but it's what works for you. I really love being a ballet dancer. I love the work I do. I believe in the work I do. And so I feel like being fulfilled in that way at work just makes me a better mom and a more balanced mom personally. While it isn't easy, makes me much more balanced and really excited when I get to spend time with her. Thank you so much for all your awesome questions and watching this video. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, and I hope you guys have the most fabulous day.